With another season of anime written in the books, that means it's time for another installment of GGS, episode 9 to be exact, where I review something from spring 2025 that's not very popular, then rate it as a gem, garbage, or something in between. The last episode was on Tasokari Hotel, which is an anime centered around a mysterious hotel. Somehow, in back-to-back seasons, there's yet another anime whose setting is a hotel. I mean, seriously, what are the odds of that happening? Apparently pretty high, since summer 2025 is yet another one releasing. Anyways, let's get back on topic. Will this anime titled Apocalypse Hotel be a gem, garbage, or something in between? I really hate spoiling my thoughts on an anime for the series right off the bat, but I cannot help myself here. This anime might be the best show from the spring 2025 season. It's extremely underrated and deserves much more recognition and praise, so before you continue to watch this review, I implore you to watch the show for yourself and then come back to enjoy my review of it. First up, the synopsis of the story. The anime Apocalypse Hotel is set in a post-apocalyptic future where humanity has been forced to vacate Earth due to a deadly virus. The planet is now uninhabited by humans as infrastructure has decayed and have been overtaken by nature. However, one building remains in immaculate shape, Hotel Gingaro, being taken care of by its robot staff for any potential guests and is led by the hotelier concierge girl Yachiyo. These robots are on standby, waiting and hoping for humanity's return, keeping the place in tip-top shape despite it being a century since their last guest. Normal hotel operations are shown throughout the story, including taking stock of inventory, cleaning, and even creating lasting memories for its guests, accommodating to their customs. Over the course of centuries, the hotel slowly but surely makes various improvements and necessary adaptations to the business by expanding their operations. They build a whiskey distillery, a hot spring, a sophisticated defense system for the hotel, and even launch a rocket into orbit to advertise the hotel to the cosmos. Thanks to these upgrades, guests eventually start to appear more frequently, enjoying their stay, as the hotel develops a sparkling reputation throughout the cosmos. Even with the slow growing success of the hotel, including all of these new alien guests, Yachiyo remains hopeful, wishing that humanity will keep their promise and return to Earth, despite the declining likelihood of that ever happening as the centuries go on. This anime may seem rather simple and unappealing on the surface, but don't let that fool you. This show is wacky, creative, charming, and funny, feeling like a slice of life show with a sci-fi twist added on, which helps to keep you on your toes, never knowing what will happen next. It has an eye-catching art style, an enjoyable and colorful cast of characters, great animation, a surprising amount of emotional depth, a fantastic soundtrack, and phenomenal direction. It possesses some surprisingly good messages, such as not losing hope when all seems lost, as the hotel itself literally represents a beacon of hope in this post-apocalyptic scenario. It encourages the viewer to have lofty dreams and have belief in yourself that you will achieve them no matter the odds, as well as several other messages which are also good in their own right. The turning point for the story can be traced back to the arrival of the Tanukian family. Once this human-appearing alien race family arrives is where the story takes a crazy turn, with never a single minute being dull thanks to them. They add so much to the story, none more so than Panko, who eventually joins the hotel staff and helps Yachiyo immensely throughout the story as they become close friends. The best thing about Apocalypse Hotel is time. The fact that this narrative takes place over the course of hundreds of years, which also magnifies even further the hope aspect of this story. Through time, we are not only able to see the radical changes and improvements being made to the hotel, but we are also able to witness how Yachiyo slowly changes herself. The story starts with it being 100 years since humanity vanished from Earth, already setting the tone for the melancholic and hopeful atmosphere of the series. When the Tanukians finally arrive, it has been another 50 years since the first traveling alien was a guest. It takes Yachiyo, along with help from the Tanukians, who settle on Earth, 15 years to create an enjoyable whiskey. Another 70 years are used to build an advertising satellite, again with help from the Tanukians, which also sends Yachiyo into space. She gets stuck in space and comes crashing back down to Earth, but after 50 more years have passed, seeing that there are many changes made to the hotel, including the fact that it is now flourishing with many alien guests. We are able to witness Panko grow up, get married, and have a family of her own, which took over 527 years since she met Yachiyo. For centuries, Yachiyo has carried out her duties acting rationally as a robot should. She remains optimistic and hopeful of humanity's return, which is insane given the context that she's a robot who knows the probability of their return is almost zero. Yet another lesson that can be learned in this story is that if Yachiyo can never give up hope for centuries for humanity's return, you shouldn't give up hope on whatever you want to have happen or accomplish. If you pay attention throughout the story, she slowly becomes the very thing this planet was once known for, being human. Yachiyo adapts the rules and becomes more lenient with them to help accommodate various guests. She still has those robotic tendencies, but has now adopted a more human-like approach, displaying different feelings. She irrationally lashes out in frustration, anger, and confusion at various things. She enjoys the little moments spent with the guests and her friend Panko, who she forms an unbreakable bond with over the course of half a millennium. The biggest and easiest change to pick up on is Yachiyo's underwhelming reaction to an Earthling finally returning after being gone for centuries in that final episode. Imagine never losing hope that humanity would return and that day finally happens. You'd think she'd act crazy, being extremely excited like she did with the arrival of the human-like Tanukians. But in this scenario, she almost doesn't even care, and that's because she's just happy that the hotel is flourishing once more, having many patrons, alien or otherwise. The hotel has changed and accommodates all kinds of guests now, no longer relying on human patronage like it did in the distant past. These changes in her demeanor help her to improve as the manager, providing the best service she can for this now successful hotel. Every episode is great within this show, but I want to highlight episode 11 for Apocalypse Hotel, since it was a different and very entertaining one for odd reasons. In it, you see Yachiyo being required by Panko to take a day off of work, which forces the humanoid robot to explore her surroundings and take in what Ginza has to offer. Yachiyo finds an old hotel guide recommending various tourist attractions and visits each of them. In this episode, she's able to reminisce moments of her journey throughout the story while she tries to find a replacement part for herself. Usually this anime is chaotic and funny, but in this episode specifically, it's more serious and chill. Throughout the episode, there's very little talking, which means the very settings and music in it need to be great, and they are phenomenal. It allows the viewer to watch as Yachiyo experiences that melancholic, apocalyptic, and hopeful atmosphere, capturing that essence perfectly. In this episode, you can see just how far she has come from the beginning, loosening up, changing as a robot, acting more human-like, and even being able to finally feel alive during her extremely brief vacation. Remember, this anime occurs over the course of hundreds of years, and Yachiyo was never given a single break from her hotelier duties. This was a welcome rest and something her owner, who she loved dearly, would have wanted her to experience. This episode can also potentially hit you in the feels because it is episode 11 of 12, and Yachiyo has a vital part of her body damaged, meaning that she could shut down soon before ever experiencing humanity's promised return. It's the perfect time frame in a story for something like this to occur, and sets this type of possible scenario up nicely. I obviously would not want that to happen, and thankfully it doesn't end that way either. It would have been interesting if Yachiyo was able to experience humanity's return and shut down shortly afterwards, accomplishing her hopeful task, only being able to still operate because of her sheer determination. If you enjoyed watching Apocalypse Hotel and are looking for something similar to fill the void it left, then look no further than Planetarian, which is funnily enough an anime I did a review of for a different series. The two shows focus on a female robot in a post-apocalyptic world, still performing their job, despite not having patrons for a lengthy amount of time. Both of these stories also talk about hope and being optimistic despite their circumstances. Be sure to check out my review of that anime if you are interested. Apocalypse Hotel is the definition of an underrated anime, which makes it a gem for this series, and I give it an 8.25 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.